It started with a flicker. I was watching TV late one night, half asleep on my couch, when the screen blinked to static. It wasn't a normal signal loss. This was different. The static had a pattern, pulsing in a rhythmic sequence. At first I thought it was some weird interference, maybe a neighboring signal bleeding through, but then the whispering started. At first it was so faint, I thought it was my imagination, a trick of white noise, but as I turned up the volume, the whispers grew clearer. Words, sentences, an actual voice buried beneath the static. Can you hear me? I sat bolt upright, my pulse hammering. It wasn't part of a program. It was too deliberate, too real. The voice crackled, distant, yet urgent. You need to listen. He's watching. I grabbed my remote, flipping through the channels, but every single one was the same. Static. With that voice threading through it, the whispers started overlapping, a chorus of desperate voices speaking in unison. And the image came through. It was a live feed. The camera was aimed at a dimly lit street. My street. An apartment building loomed in the center of the frame, its windows dark except for one. My window. A shadow moved across it. I scrambled to the window, my breath catching in my throat. The street below was empty. No cameraman, no van, nothing that could be broadcasting this. But the TV screen still showed my building, my window, and then the feed changed. It cut to my living room. The angle was impossible. Like a security camera freed from inside of my own apartment, but I didn't have security cameras. And then, slowly, the camera panned. There was someone standing behind me. I spun around, my heart pounding, but my apartment was empty. The screen flickered again, the voice breaking into a frenzied whisper. He knows you see him. The static flared, sharp and violent, rattling through the speakers. My ears rang. The lights in my apartment flickered, and the air thickening like something unseen was pressing against me. And then, silence. The screen went black. For a long moment, I just sat there, my breath shallow. I reached for my phone, but the battery was dead. My watch had stopped. Even the hum of the refrigerator had disappeared. The world had gone eerily, impossibly quiet. And then a single message appeared on the screen in white text. Don't look away. My chest tightened. A slow, creeping dread settled over me, and then the TV turned off on its own. I don't remember going to bed that night. I must have, because I woke up the next morning to sunlight filtering through the blinds. My TV was back to normal. My phone was fully charged. The city buzzed outside of it. Nothing was happening. But something had happened. There's a new channel on my list now. One that there wasn't there before. It only plays static. I check it every night, dreading the moment the whispers return, because I know one day he will. Days blur together. I barely leave my apartment anymore. I don't sleep. I can't sleep. The static is always just there, just beneath the hum of the world, like an invisible frequency that only I can hear. The voices come and go, but the presence never leaves. And then last night, the broadcast changed again. The 5 feet appeared, but it wasn't my street this time. It was my apartment. Dark, silent, exactly as it was in that moment. I held my breath. I didn't move. Then the camera tilted upward. It was looking at the ceiling. A shape hung there. Limbs twisted, stretching towards the floor, eyes, empty eyes fixed on me. The moment I saw it, my vision blurred, my body locked up, heavy and cold. I couldn't move, I couldn't scream, I couldn't breathe. The static roared, the screen flickered violently, and for a brief, horrible moment, I saw something else. Me, standing in the middle of my apartment, staring at the camera, but my reflection wasn't right. It was grinning, wide, just too wide. And then darkness. I don't remember waking up. I just was. Sitting on my porch, staring at the TV. The air was still. I couldn't tell if it was another day, another normal day. My heart pounded. My thoughts scrambled. Had it all been a dream? Had I imagined everything? And then I looked at the screen. The static had returned. I grabbed a notebook. I needed to write it down. I had to warn someone. My hand shook as I scribbled down what happened, every detail, every whisper, the way he moved. But the moment my pen touched the paper, I hesitated. My thoughts blurred. The words didn't make sense. The letters twisted, rearranging themselves into static. I tried again. Who was I warning? I couldn't remember. The static was so loud now, soothing, familiar. I set the pen down, staring at the screen. The flickering patterns were hypnotic, rhythmic, pulling me in. I let out a slow breath, my muscles loosening, my thoughts quieted. Yes, this is better. A voice crackled through the speakers, gentle, comforting. Can you hear me? I leaned in closer, watching the shapes in the static shift, dance, listening. My reflection in the darkened screen blinked, and then it smiled.